Hello, everyone, and welcome to Winged Victory with Rob and Scott, a podcast by the National Museum of World War II Aviation here in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Welcome to the latest edition of Winged Victory with Rob and Scott. I being Rob, Scott being Scott.
Me being Scott.
And our guest today is our friend Don Johnson. You may remember him from episode 2 when I think he got about 4 words in edgewise. But so now the focus is on you, Don.
Great. Well, thank you.
And in addition to being a lead docent, and did you finish your museum degree?
I did. I just finished my master's in public history.
Cool. But what I really wanted to talk about is you flew the free world's largest aircraft, one of my favorites, the C-5.
Yeah. We used to call it the largest aircraft in the free world, which meant the Russians had an equivalent that was just 4 feet taller.
Oh, the AN 124, 224?
124. The 224 is much bigger.
Yeah. Well, we actually used them, but...
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that what you wanted, or did the Air Force just say, off you go?
No, actually, I was in a position by the end of pilot training that I got my first choice of assignments. So I chose a C-21 with a C-5 follow-on. So they used to, back then, they would pair you. Sometimes you wouldn't go straight to a major weapon system. You'd go to first what they called a seed weapon system, like the C-21, which is the Learjet.
Well acquainted with it.
Yeah.
You ride like this in the back.
I went from the smallest cockpit in the Air Force to the largest, and then back to the smallest again.
So was it always going to be a bomber for you or something big like that? Because I know that you don't even have your single engine certificate. So it was like you went multi-engine immediately into that.
Well, the way it worked back then, you would start in your primary trainer was the T-37, which is a multi-engine tricycle gear. And at the end of primary phase, they would rank order the class, and you would pick either tanker transports or fighter bombers. And back then, you know, the wall had just fallen, and so Air Force didn't need a whole lot of fighter pilots at the time. So most of the class was going to heavies.
So we're talking mid-'80s then?
No, this is 90. I started
90?
pilot training in 93.
93, okay.
Yeah, right after the wall had come down.
Okay.
Well, so smallest cockpit to the largest, and yet here you are flying a single-engine tail dragger in addition. You're flying the T-6.
Well, before we get to the T-6, though, like, what's it like flying a mini city through the air?
A city building, at least.
Yeah. Thing's huge.
Well, flying, it's actually not the hard part. You in the beginning, there's some transition involved, learning to land an airplane from 40 feet in the air. But really operating it on the ground is the hard part. It's so big with a 222-foot wingspan that you have to know where all your obstacles are. You have to know the weight-bearing capacity of all the concrete you're going to go over to get from the runway to parking and back.
You can't just land that at any old airport.
No. So when you're in your upgrade for aircraft commander, a lot of your time is spent studying airfields. You got to know every place you're going to go, and you look at your airfield surveys and your diagrams, and you map everything out, and you start keeping copies of all those things in your bag. So your bag gets much bigger the more experience you have.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if I talked about this at one point, but we were moving the Mark V, an 82-foot boat. And the cool thing was the boat and all its stuff would actually max out that airplane cube and weight. And because they had a training requirement to do it, they were actually happy. Yeah, we'll take your boat. Oh, we got to go to Spain? Oh,
yeah. A lot of the Navy stuff went to Spain. We spent a lot of time in Rota, which ended up being one of the greatest places to go.
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, the Mark V was designed to fit in a C-5. So
and only in a C-5. It was specifically designed.
Yeah, like to the inch.
Yeah, and having watched them go in and out, it is a matter of inches. I mean, that's a challenging bit, especially if the loadie in the front, isn't communicating clearly to the loadie in the back.
Right. Yeah, it takes a lot of coordination, and one of the coolest things about that boat was the trailer. that it went on. The trailer was fully articulated. It could drive itself in and out of the C-5.
Okay.
Yeah, we get some crazy stuff out there.
Yeah. So run us through kind of when you were first getting into the C-5, and then, what did you end up flying it in any kind of combat or?
Yeah. Well, okay. So the first part of the question, what's it like to get into a C-5? So you go from pilot training. I went to the C-21 where I was seasoned and upgraded through evaluator pilot. And then so when you go to your major weapon system from one of the seeds, you go in as a first pilot, which means you're an aircraft commander in upgrade. And so you'll go to school and learn how to drive the airplane on the ground, which is the big first part of learning it. And you'll learn how to fly it. And then you go to your squadron, which in my case was at Travis Air Force Base. And you spend your time as a first pilot learning how to run missions. So you'll always be the second in command on these missions until you upgrade to aircraft commander.
Okay.
So
then where did you take it from there? So you get through all this, right? No
Right.
problem. And then what? Then they get you into the upgrade?
yeah, so you're always in the Air Force. You're always upgrading. You're always
Yeah.
in the next upgrade system. While I
I
was
thought
at
that
Travis,
was just for hotels.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and that's the cool. That's another cool thing about the C-5. It only goes where you have very large runways and very big hotels.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
it's
So you get to go to the nice places.
a great lifestyle.
Pretty tough.
So upgrading is a matter of learning how to do missions, and then then you start upgrading to instructor, and then you upgrade to evaluator, and then I went to the schoolhouse for my next assignment. So upgrading to schoolhouse evaluator through all that.
So what's schoolhouse? Explain that for us dummies.
Okay, so for non-Air Force folks, schoolhouse is where they teach the airplane. So we call it Combat Crew Training School, or CCTS,
Okay.
which in this case back then was at Altus Air Force Base. So you go to
Oklahoma.
Altus initially to learn it, and then if you get assigned there later on, I went back as an instructor and evaluator. So then I would take people off the street and teach them how to fly the C-5 and how to operate it, how to refuel it,
Oh,
which is a lot of fun. Refueling a C-5 in the midair is a challenge, and really, when you get good at it, like when you're doing it on the line, when I was at Travis, it's always a matter of getting the gas, because if you don't get the gas, you divert. And it takes about 45 minutes in the contact position to refuel a C-5 in the air.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're sitting there for 45 minutes.
Burning brain cells. Yeah,
Oh, man. That's got to be the most exhausting part of the whole flight.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll eventually, you get tired, you hand it over to the co-pilot. He can only fly it in pre-contact, so he's got to back it out, or she, and fly it in pre-contact while you take a break, and then you take it back into contact.
Oh, really? So
And
it's
then-
multiple times, maybe, in a fueling if you're tired.
Yeah, and if it's, in most cases, we had a lot more KC-135s, and it takes 2 KC-135s to refuel a C-5.
I feel like you're going to burn a half a tank just getting this thing refueled.
Yeah, 45 minutes is a lot of gas. It burns about 20,000 an hour, so
Jeez.
you're burning a lot of gas just to get the gas.
Just to get the gas.
And you're doing it at a lower level because you need the excess power. So you're coming down to 15, 20,000 feet to refuel.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess in the longest flight that you maybe have ever taken, how many times did you have to refuel? Just once, or?
My record was 18 and a half hours from Andrews in Washington to Anderson in Guam. And that was 2 refuelings. So two times on the track, 45 minutes. And 18 hours is a long day.
Yeah.
So
And you guys switching out crews and stuff on that, or are you?
well,
obviously-
you'll have, that's called an augmented crew, so you have an extra pilot.
Okay.
So you'll rotate people through the seat. You get to go back and sleep for an hour or two, before you got to get the gas.
so in addition to doing God's work, hauling naval special warfare, you guys were designed to haul tanks. Did you ever do heavy stuff like that?
Yeah, no, that's an air show maneuver. The M1, you can only haul one if it's a full combat weight. So if the idea is to drive it off the airplane right into combat, and you'd never get that close to combat in the C-5 anyway, it's too expensive. So theoretically, yes, it could carry 2 M1s at travel weight or 1 at combat weight. But we only did that for air shows.
Well, that's, us laymen, like, whoa, they can carry tanks.
Yeah.
But
Well,
the reality being a little more prosaic.
Yeah, it's not really practical. We carried a lot of palletized cargo. It's got 36 pallet positions as opposed to the C-17's got 18. We carried a lot of helicopters for all the services, a lot of trucks, presidential support. We did a lot of presidential support.
Oh, really? Like
Yeah.
out of the country? It's presidential support?
Yeah,
Obviously.
well, most people don't realize that the president can't just hop on Air Force One and go wherever he wants because there's a lot of stuff that has to go with him. The White House
Including the
Communications
Beast.
Agency, yeah, the heavy limousines, which weigh almost as much as a tank, the Secret Service, the Marines. They take a whole package wherever they go. So
Yeah.
there's all sorts of airlift involved in getting the president somewhere.
So is that like a special detachment that you're a part of that they put you in that, or they just call you up and like, okay, you're
No.
going to
It's every day.
here, and this is what you're carrying?
Yeah, it's almost every day. In fact, most of what we did was, well, I don't know if it's most, but a lot of what we did was presidential support.
Okay.
Because I was flying when Bill Clinton was president, and he was a traveler.
You like to travel around the country or the world?
The world, yeah.
Yeah.
And then whenever there's a disaster, you're taking stuff to the site, all the support that we send. So it's a great mission. You do everything. You go everywhere in the planet. Like I said, big runways, big hotels.
So what did you think about this airplane that you're flying? Airplane, I call it.
The C-5?
Yeah, I mean, the thing's giant. And
Yeah.
I know that to keep something like that in the air has got to be a monumental task, I'm assuming.
It takes a lot of money, a lot of people. Your minimum crew is 4 people, but that's like for a ferry flight. That's just to get it from point A to point B. If you're doing a mission, you've got at least 6 people. You can have a crew of up to 22, and you can be gone for a strategic mission. Typically is like a month long, sometimes 3 weeks. You're away from home, and you'll leave home with a mission on paper, and you'll never fly that mission. It gets modified every single stop.
Yeah.
So, but flying the big airplane it kind of brought home to me once. I was flying with a troop of Army guys in the back, and their troop commander was another captain like me, and he wanted to come up front and see what the cockpit looked like. And so you have to go through the cargo box with an escort in case something happens. You don't know where the life support is and stuff. So I said I'd go back and get him, and so I go to the back, and we're walking through the cargo box, which is a long walk, and we get about halfway, and he stops me, and he goes, "Dude, you ever stop and look around this thing and realize what an amazing? I can't believe they toss you the keys and let you command these people, and a $200 million asset plus God knows whatever's
What's
in the box."
inside of it? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a big responsibility.
Did that suddenly hit you when he said that? Like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because you take it in phases and steps, baby steps, and you get to a point where you're flying this piece of America around the planet, doing super important stuff you can't talk about sometimes, and sometimes it sneaks up on you.
Yeah, I know. I could totally understand that, you being involved in it and ingratiated in it, and then
Yeah.
have somebody actually stop you and be like, "Have you looked around
Yeah,
and seen this?"
do you appreciate this?
Then you go, oh yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
I get
Well,
that.
as we were saying, I had a Lodi tell my sons we were going over on a hop. He took them down into this cavern.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looks like the inside of this place without airplanes.
Right.
And he said the Wright brothers' first flight could be accomplished inside the C-5.
Oh yeah, yeah. That thing's massive. I've been in one in South Dakota at an air show.
Yeah.
And they had it opened up for everybody to walk through, and
I wish we can get them here.
it was like its own
Yeah.
hemisphere. It was awesome. Like, because it was 105 degrees out there on the tarmac, and you get inside there, and the wind's blowing through it, and there wasn't any wind, but it just like made its own wind.
It's a wind tunnel. Yeah.
It's a wind tunnel, and it was just cool. And I mean, you just walked forever.
Yep.
It was massive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're big hit air shows when you can get them.
Yeah.
We should try.
Well,
should.
yeah, we're running out of room already.
Yeah. Yeah, they take up a lot of ramp space.
We just got an A10 that's coming out. for our show. It's going to be hanging out.
Going to do a demo?
No, they're not going to do a demo. They're
Oh.
a 4-ship, but we're only going to have one of them on the static ramp.
Oh,
They
that's
don't do demos, yeah.
cool.
Unfortunately, I was real excited when I got that call, but
Yeah,
not quite.
that's a great airplane.
I'm pretty excited now.
Yeah, everybody who doesn't love that thing, man. It's just built around a gun.
Yeah,
It's pretty awesome.
flying tank.
Yep. So, reliable C5?
No. In fact, there's a joke. If you see two C5s out on the ramp and one of them is up on jacks, you know why?
Why is
What
that?
the problem is? The problem is there's only one set of jacks.
Oh.
So it had a really complicated landing gear. Back when I was flying them, we had the A's, B's, and C's. So we had the initial, like, first generation CFM
which is never great.
39 engines, and so we were blowing up bleed ducts all the time and shutting engines down in flight. The modified, the C5M, is supposedly much more reliable. In fact, part of the program was called the Reliability Upgrade Program, or the RERP. So, yeah, it's pretty zen-like flying a C5, because you got to get used to the idea that you're not going to do what you were planning on doing. Like I said, in a 3-week mission, the airplane breaks en route. Sometimes it breaks bad enough that you don't move.
Mm-hmm.
You have to stop and wait for a fix. So going from the C-21, which is completely reliable, always does what you're planning on doing, and you complete your missions on time as planned, to the C5, at first it's a little bit of an adjustment.
So do you guys kind of carry all of your own stuff to be able to maintain it? If at that point you guys are breaking down so often, are you carrying your own jacks and everything? Is that part of the... No?
We would often take a crew chief with us.
Okay.
And his job starts when we hit the ground. So he knows everything that's gone wrong from, point A to point B. And then while we're in crew rest at point B, he's out there fixing the airplane.
Yeah.
So he sleeps on the airplane, or she would sleep on the airplane in flight. So that was pretty typical, carrying a crew chief with you. And there's the other thing about the C5 is you can only go to places that can handle a C5, and part of being able to handle it is having maintenance close by. So we would go to AMC bases as much as possible, and Air Mobility Command.
You ever find yourself having to divert to a place that wasn't really made for the C5?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I'd send you to a place that wasn't C5.
Like Renus Tirana, Albania.
Oh, yeah.
Brought a C5 in there and had her go again.
Yeah. Well, okay, here's an example for you. We, after the embassy bombings in Africa, part of the response was they needed a C-130 from Brindisi, Italy, so they've got C-130s there, but they needed a spare engine. So we took a spare engine to Brindisi, which is not normally a C-5 base. And so it's all last second. So we're doing our planning en route. And so we noticed that you can't leave the runway. The taxiways can't handle a C-5. They're not big enough. They can't handle the weight.
Yep.
So we're going to have to land, turn around, download this spare C-130 engine, and take off again. Well, that's normal. But they had planned us to spend the night because we're going to run out of duty day. And we're like, do the Italians know that we're going to be parking a C-5 on their runway overnight? And they're like, yeah, go ahead, press on. They know everybody's been apprised. Well, somebody failed to tell the Italians. The Americans there knew. And so we woke up the next morning in the hotel, and there's a bunch of Italians down there in the lobby waiting for us to try to expedite our departure. So a C-5 takes a lot of planning.
Yep.
There's what's called a max on ground, a MOG. Like, some places can only handle one C-5. We had a broken C-5 once in Bahrain. And we were at Sheikh Isa, which is the military airport, and we wanted to take it over to the International where they had room for a C-5 and they could fix it. But there was a C-130 parked in the one spot that a C-5 could park. And so we had to wait for like 4 days for them to fix that C-130 and get it out. So it's a cool airplane.
That's the ultimate pull up to the gate, and somebody's in your gate, and you have to sit there for 40 minutes.
Yeah,
4 days. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. We get annoyed at that.
Yeah.
But
Well, like I said, flying the C-5 takes a lot of patience, and you have to learn to just go with it.
All right, so story time. What was probably one of the hairiest missions that you remember having to have that you could talk about?
Well, okay, one of the scariest things, the first time I had to shut down an engine as an aircraft commander was the scariest one, not because I hadn't done it before. I'd done it several times as a co-pilot, but as a co-pilot, you're just flipping switches, and he's the guy gets in trouble if you do it wrong. So your first mission as an aircraft commander, and here I have a situation where I have to shut down an engine right after takeoff.
Oh, right after takeoff.
Yeah, so typically that's
Nice and heavy.
Yep, it's always when you're heavy because you're pushing the motors, and typically it's a bleed duct explodes on you. So that's what happened. We had a bleed duct explode. Shut the engine down, come back around, and you have time to think. And that's when a good aircraft commander will ask his crew, "Hey, are we missing anything?" You know, you expand your team, and everybody's like, "Nope, going good, everything's fine." So brought it back in, had hot brakes, of course.
Fully loaded.
Yeah, it
fully
was
fueled,
heavy and fast. It was a non-precision approach. That's all I had. So had to evacuate the airplane and wait for the brakes to cool off before we get back on and get it towed in. So that was the scariest, just because I was in charge.
Yeah.
And everybody's looking at
and
you.
it's your first one.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'd had plenty of engine shutdown. I had something like, I don't know, stop counting at about 20.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it was a natural occurrence back then.
So how long were you in the service and then flying C-5s? That was where you ended your career flying C-5s, right?
No, actually. So my book ended my career with C-21 assignments.
Okay.
So
you wanted to get back to the easy thing.
Yeah, it was a C-21's a great job.
Yeah.
It's a fun airplane. It's, like I said, reliable. The mission's great.
Yeah.
So I flew C-5s from like 97 to 2004, and then got off active duty in 2007 and went to the airlines, and I flew for the airlines for about 13 years.
Yeah, Delta Airlines.
Yeah, and I finished my Air Force career in the reserves, working at the Air Force Academy up the hill here.
Okay. So is that how you decided to put roots here in Colorado Springs from working there?
Yeah, this was my last assignment. I flew C-21s here, and it's such a great place. I wanted to end up here. And I'd always wanted to go to the airlines, but getting off active duty is a trick. So they're very clever. Every time you go to training, you get a new commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And so the trick is to try to line up your commitments so that you have an actual decision point where you could possibly get out if you want. So that occurred for me in 2007, and I made the jump over to the airlines. But I got my reserve job and finished up. So it was a great career. Flew for almost 30 years professionally, and
Yeah.
then ended up here.
And then you got into the entrepreneurial spirit, got yourself a few businesses here, and really kind of set roots.
Well, that's how I was able to get out of the airlines when the early release for COVID packages came out, because rather than buying toys and doing silly stuff, my wife and I were buying rental properties.
Mm-hmm.
And so we weren't quite there, but the package allowed us 3 years to
Little cushion there.
to complete our portfolio, and so it's to the point now where I don't have a W-2 job anymore.
Yeah. So where does the museum come into play for you? Like, where do you discover it, decide you want to be a part of it?
Well, we opened our doors here in 2012. So I was here, and I had my eye on it. It was right up my alley. I've been totally fascinated with World War II since forever.
Yeah, quite the historian on it.
Yeah,
anytime I need to get information about something, I just go to Don, because he's
As you should.
And if he doesn't, he'll find it out in about a week.
If that long.
Come in, and you're like, wow, I didn't know all that.
If that long.
It's amazing.
He's great at Stump the Dummy.
It's my geek thing. I geek out on history, and World War II is just super fascinating.
As a number of us did.
So about 2016, I retired from the Air Force, and then it was at that point I had enough seniority in the airlines. In the beginning, when you're a junior guy, you're flying every weekend, every holiday. you're flying all the stuff that none of the senior guys want to do.
Of course.
And so by this time, I had enough seniority that I was getting some weekends off and holidays and stuff. So I was able to come in here and start volunteering as a docent. So that's when I started in 2016.
Yeah.
As a docent, and got my foot in the door and been moving around ever since.
And then we started doing a little bit of a flying program. So you got to get into along with myself and a couple other guys, we started getting into the PT-19.
Yeah, so your dad called me one day. He said, "Hey, you want to fly the PT-19?" I said, "Sure, I'd love to."
Yeah.
All the pilots around here, everybody wants to get into the flying program, whatever that means. And so I feel sort of blessed and honored to have been picked. And so, as you know, we started flying with Mike Pauley at the time.
Yep.
And started with the PT-19, did some screen. I went out and got my tail wheel endorsement, my high performance endorsement, which was funny because, like you said, I'd been flying jets and tricycle gears my whole time.
And multi-engines.
Yeah,
Like
and multi-engine.
the whole time. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have a single engine. He's a CFI now with he doesn't have the ability to go out in a single engine
Yeah.
and give me a biannual.
You gotta love that.
I still need another check ride, which means going out and, all the brain damage, flying a little airplane to get used to it.
It just cracks me up. That's all.
I know. It's kind of unusual. And when you talk to people in the FAA, they're like, how come you don't have a single engine?
Yeah. So what do you think of the PT-19?
PT-19 was fabulous. It was so much fun. It's tremendously underpowered.
Oh yeah,
So you only fly it on cold days with like half a tank of gas,
if that.
which means, a couple times around the pattern and come back for gas.
Yeah. It'd be a fantastic airplane down at the beach. I just always envisioned it flying over like Florida beaches or something.
At sea level,
at 500 feet.
Yeah.
And okay, I got power to play with now. All of a sudden,
Exactly.
instead of just full throttle the whole time
Yeah.
to get around the pattern.
I'll never get a ride in PT-19.
No, probably not. Not up here, anyways. Not that
It's-
one. It's
not good for giving rides. But it was great for screening because, as we found out later when we switched to the T6, the PT-19 is like cheating.
Yeah.
It's almost not even a tail wheel.
Yeah, it's so
Airplane.
easy to land. It's the easiest airplane I think I've ever landed in my life.
Yeah, it's got
It's
a
crazy.
wide landing gear and a low center of gravity. And
Half the time, you didn't even know you were on the ground. you literally, you just touch that thing and you're like, oh, I'm on the ground.
it's like I think I feel the wheels rolling.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But it was a lot of fun, and then we transitioned over to the T6, which is eye opening.
Yeah.
As I say, the P51 is a good trainer for the T6. So we've had a time,
Yeah, some of us more than others.
but the T6 is it'll make a pilot out of you.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you feel when you're flying that thing? I mean, I know how I felt when
I
I
love it.
first soloed it, and it's, I imagine with all the stuff that you've flown in life, I mean, you're, like you said, you were flying a small building.
Mm-hmm.
What was the difference between, flying the C-5 and then jumping into the T6 by yourself? I mean, as far as your accomplishment feeling or...
Well, it's such an honor to fly these old, valuable, historic airplanes. As an airplane, it's I sort of liken it to the C-21. It's like a high-performance piston version of a Learjet or something. It commands some respect.
Yeah.
It wakes you up.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah, you got to pay attention to it.
And even when you're paying attention sometimes,
Even
it'll
then,
still throw you a curveball. You're kind of like,
Even
"Whoa,
then."
what was that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just the way I feel about it. I mean, yeah, you go back, you're flying something that was kind of a predecessor to almost everything that's flying today,
Right.
and everybody that flew anything in World War II probably flew the T6.
Yeah, a great many of them, especially the single fighter pilots.
Yeah,
and even after the war, a testimony to the greatness of the airplane was that it was in service for into the 70s and 80s.
yeah.
Around the world in 30 some odd countries. So
Yeah.
it's a
Well,
great airplane.
I'm pretty sure that even the bomber guys had to get through advanced training, and that's the T6.
Well, eventually they went, just like I went from the T-37 to the T-1.
They went to the 11?
Yeah, they went to an AT-10, 11, AT-9. I think they had about 5 or 6 different twin-engine.
Probably
Yeah, well,
which
Bobcats and
direction
Beaches.
you were
and-
going to go. If you're going to be a bomber guy or whatever, you're probably over in the AT-11.
Well, and it
camp.
depended where you went to. They had different airplanes at different schools. It was so big they couldn't have complete commonality across the entire U.S. So.
Oh, so if they ended up at a certain Air Force base or something, they might be flying T-6s, but then jumping into a B-25 or something?
Well, or they'd probably, you might have a Bobcat or a Beach or something at that base, but it's still probably going to have 2 engines.
Yeah, so the multi-engine guys there were way more multi-engine advanced trainers. The T-6 was the multi-engine or the single-engine advanced trainer.
Yeah.
So if you're going to fighters, you're going to fly the T-6 for sure.
T-6, yeah.
So I think maybe early on, I'm not sure as the program morphed over time. Maybe in the beginning they were flying the T-6, but later in the war, the multi-engine guys were going to the multi-engine advanced trainers. So, training was a fascinating subject, and that's how we have the PT-19, and we also have PT-13, PT-17. There were different primary trainers depending on where you went to school, and a lot of people don't know that the primary schools were all civilian schools back then. Mm-hmm. That's one of the brilliant things that Hap Arnold did in the beginning is he recognized that they wouldn't be able to be military trained from the beginning. So they immediately contracted all the flying schools they could get to do the primary training. So your primary trainer would be dependent on where you went to school.
Yeah. Could be a Cub.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the civilian pilot training program, a lot of those people got their first tickets in something like a Cub. Then they'd probably go to a primary trainer, but it was a brilliant solution.
Yeah. Well, it was a huge story. I mean, training was one of the keys to victory. So the T-6 obviously being key to the training, which was key to victory. A big difference between the Allies and the Axis. We were able to train.
Oh, yeah. We were able to just keep bringing in more and more pilots.
Yeah.
And they actually didn't have them flying the entire, wars as well.
Yeah.
Like a lot of German, top aces.
Right.
Those guys flew till they died.
Yeah, they flew forever. So,
Yeah,
how wore out were those guys? Or just...
Oh, absolutely. Their attrition was... Yeah. In the end, they were completely unable to train. And so they wore out all their pilots. And, obviously the Japanese were abusing their pilots. Well, from their viewpoint, it was not abuse, but...
From anybody else's viewpoint, it would be.
Yeah. Yeah, they treated their assets quite a bit differently. We put a tremendous amount of effort into preserving our human assets.
Oh, yeah. Look at the design of the airplanes.
Yeah.
The self-sealing tanks, armor,
right.
The whole deal. It was like we understood the most important part of that airplane was the guy that was flying it.
He's the most expensive part.
Most expensive part,
certainly.
For sure.
So
we could replace the plane like that.
And we did.
Yeah. We built so many damn planes, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
it's about preserving your assets. And the most expensive, time-consuming asset is the brain that operates the machine.
So we're in a museum with 28 flying airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
You're flying the T-6. What would be your ultimate goal to see yourself flying out of this museum one of these days?
The single-engine fighters are probably the Apogee, the 2,000 horsepower Corsair, and I want to fly them all, but
I know that's exactly the answer I got. He asked me the same thing.
I
I'm
did.
like, hey, what would you? Oh man, let me just tell you this.
Any one of them that I get the opportunity, I would love to be able to take it.
That's the answer. It's
Yeah.
either whatever's next or whatever I'm flying now.
Yeah.
I'm working to understand pilots, but it's a job.
Well, it's easy, man. We just want to fly them all and fly the biggest, fly the best.
Yeah, and we got some definite historic airplanes here that would be really
Oh yeah.
Pretty amazing. I mean, we see them. We see the guys fly them, and these guys have been flying airplanes forever, and they get out and they know, oh wow, I just got to fly this Brewster Corsair, or
they're all
War History P-38.
Yeah.
They're all alternating between giggle and purr.
Yeah,
They
there's a
climb
lot of
out.
awe. There's a lot of reverence for them.
There's a lot of respect.
Yeah,
As there should be.
And that's why there's, we get asked as docents all the time, how do I get into the program? How do I get to fly these? And your dad always, I like your dad's answer.
Yeah.
Well, you just buy
one.
Okay.
yeah.
So to be able to fly somebody else's warbirds is
There's a
just
lot of trust there.
awe-inspiring.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was looking through some of the ads. I think somebody wants a Mill 6 for a Wildcat.
Oh, sure. P-51's 3.5, 3 3/4. Corsair,
Shoot,
4,
I just saw a
4.5.
TBM go up for sale for 1.9.
Yeah.
That's a TBM. So
Yeah,
this stuff's
it's
not
weird.
getting any. It's not getting newer.
Well, but that's one way to test out how serious somebody is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's probably, but not necessarily if you have the money doesn't mean you have the skill
No.
or
Oh,
the
yeah, that's-
or the respect.
Well, and this is what we run into when we were talking about on my
Yep.
podcast about the generations.
Yep.
Every generation is getting less and less, and this part of the problem is that back in the 70s and 80s, guys would let other people fly their warbirds. I mean, because you could buy a Mustang for $20, $30, $60,000 back then.
Yeah.
So you don't want to wreck it or mess it up, but if you did, whatever. Okay, it's not.
Well, there were
Nowadays,
plenty.
now you're talking,
Well, you're talking one of
some
one
of these
in so many
airplanes might
cases.
be in the
Mhm.
tens to even more millions,
Oh,
or
I'm-
irreplaceable.
I'm looking at one that's
Yeah, so I mean,
way over
these are the
that.
things that that are going to start holding back people getting into these things a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that and the rising cost of insurance and everything, parts,
Gas and
I mean, geez, go
and the
find
FAA.
brakes for any of these anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we got Bill Dude for.
Yeah, well, it's also the money aspect.
Well, there is that.
People used to throw those things away, and now you're taking the ones that were already been used, and you're like, I think I can get a little bit more out of this because
Yeah.
it just costs so much money anymore.
Well, there's all these pressures on warbirds, like you said, from insurance to gas to regulation to just the rarity, the number of people who can handle them, the number of people who can fix them.
Yeah.
Everything's dwindling. So it'll get to the point where it just dies completely.
Yeah. Well, and it's just, we're running into it with the air show stuff too. I mean, to get the cost of getting some of these airplanes out here,
Yeah.
let me tell you, it's getting way more expensive than it used to. It used to be you tell the guy, hey, we'll get you a hotel room, a car, and we'll feed you and make sure you have plenty of booze at the end of the night.
And send you off with a full tank of gas.
And send you off with a full tank. It's not the way it is anymore.
No,
just
it's
isn't
not.
that way anymore. So, everything's just going way up.
But that just speaks to the importance of what everybody here does.
Right. Absolutely.
That, we tell the stories, we help people appreciate what they're looking at, but we do see some young ones. It's going to die, but frankly, I hope I do first.
Well, like I said, it's not dying, but it's
Oh, it will
definitely-
die,
It's
and,
dwindling. It's getting less and less. But
It'll get to the point where you
Can't
to see
do
them
anymore.
fly is more and more rare.
Yeah.
So enjoy it while you got it.
Yeah. Well, get out here while you can.
Yeah.
If you want to see them fly, support people that fly the airplanes.
Yeah.
Support air shows.
Support the museum.
Yeah.
You know,
Support the museum.
It takes a lot of money to run these things and fly these things. So,
Well,
the more support we can get, the better off we are in keeping these things going.
Well, the longer we can keep them flying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just
What do
time.
you think? Got any last questions for Don here?
Nothing that comes immediately to mind. I ask him a lot of questions all the time.
Yeah. Well, me too, because I work with him all the time. Not only is he a docent, but he also works on the airplanes with us on Saturdays. And
That was part of the deal. Your dad said if you're going to fly them, you got to fix them.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
you are one of the Renaissance men around here.
yeah, historian, docent, and everything. So,
Well, I feel like it's an honor. I feel blessed to be here.
Well, Don, I really appreciate you guys coming out here and doing this with us.
My pleasure.
Appreciate flying with you, and let's keep it going.
Absolutely.
Let's do that.
As long as we can.
All right, Don. Thanks.
Hi, we're here at the National Museum of World War II Aviation in Colorado Springs, Colorado, in front of our B-25, and we'd like to show you something.
All right, you see this dipstick? You see that number right there? It says 37.5. That's not 37.5 quarts, it's 37.5 gallons of oil. And that's just for one engine. So take a look around. And you can see for yourself just how much oil could be required to keep this museum flying. This is where our friends at Blazing Aviation come into play.
Blazing Aviation has been partners with the National Museum of World War II Aviation in Colorado Springs for years now, as well as outfitting the Pikes Peak Regional Air Show. And honestly, without their support and the most competitive pricing on the market, keeping these rare birds in the air on a regular basis would be a much harder proposition. With products such as Aeroshell, aviation oil, and Phillips smoke oil, or just your everyday needs in greases and even de-icing fluids, our friends at Blazing Aviation are ready to help you with your needs at the right price.
Look, whether you're a pilot, maintainer, or an owner, there are just some things that you have to fly that airplane. Why not get those things at the best price from the people you know and trust? Get them from Blazing Aviation. Go to blazingaviation.com, airplaneoil.com, or just give them a call at 888-394-0983. And as always, let them know you heard it here on the Wing Victory podcast.
Well, we were a little light on C-5 stories. We kind of wandered afield.
Yeah.
But Don does so many things around here that it's...
Yeah, he'd like to try to touch on everything a little bit. It's kind of like his missions, in the C-5. Like, he might start out with the best intentions, but then you end up...
You get diverted.
So that's kind of what we did the whole time.
Yep.
So I guess that's in good spirit.
Well, that's okay. That's what this is really, I think, supposed to be. We're just guys and gals talking about airplanes and stuff like that. So
Well, that's what it's
you get
supposed
diverted.
to be. Yeah, I mean, his story doesn't end and begin with the C-5.
No.
He definitely had a lot going on before and after, for sure. And like you said, he's a big part of the museum and
Huge part of the museum, really.
There's a lot of different, more than he'd probably like to be doing.
Well, for example, he's the guy who trains all the docents and qualifies them.
Yeah.
And
he kind of writes the book on a bunch of the historical, and then he's the one that gets to hear it from us when we hear the stories that aren't correct.
Right.
Yeah, these guys are saying this and they're saying that, and he's just, oh man,
He gets to go make the adjustments.
Yeah, exactly.
But he is the guy best qualified to do that. We got a pretty good crew around here, but he's head and shoulders above.
Yeah, and he's got the knowledge, and then he's got the drive too to dig in and really get into the minutia of the history on these different airplanes. And we even getting it now. I mean, we sat down with Matt McCauley about the Helldiver, and Matt, for decades thought that that Helldiver had a certain history to it.
Come to find out,
he's found some more stuff, and that maybe the history's a little bit different than its purpose. Being in Seattle, I think, is a little bit different than what they originally thought. And I haven't been able to confirm any of that stuff yet, so I'm not going to say it because I don't know.
That's okay. There's always new stuff to learn.
Yeah.
Even about something that happened 80 years ago.
Well, there's always a lot of speculation, I think. You get a couple of dots along the history line, and then you try to connect those dots with a little bit of like, well, why would it get to this point?
Right.
Maybe this is why, and then you find another dot in between, and then you're able to kind of get a better idea.
Yeah. Well, and there is going to always be a little interpolation in there. Nobody's story is exact. The science isn't settled.
Yeah.
And that's good, because that leaves opportunity for people to grow and learn, and that's an important thing to be able to do your whole life.
Yeah.
But going through that degree program in public history, I looked at that and I was just daunted. I know another guy who's going through it, but that's another achievement that he just, okay, I did that.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I mean, he's one of these guys that just keeps growing.
Yep.
He's just not done.
Nope.
And he wants to keep growing in a certain direction. And, even though he's trying to not completely be ingratiated in this place all the time, I think he's kind of getting ingratiated all the time. So he's kind of working towards those things. Like I said, flying the T6 and getting time and getting, trying to keep moving forward in the flying program. And he's out here on Saturdays learning about the airplanes and the mechanical part and how to do stuff. And I've seen him, over the years really accelerate in that as well.
Yeah. I've been out here watching him on the center section of the PT-19, and again, he's a Renaissance man.
Yeah. So something we talked about with him was the cost of flying all this stuff and the expansion. We're doing the expansion on the museum right now. They actually just poured half of the slab has been poured out there, so they're going to get ready to erect the building here pretty soon. But they're still looking to finish the funding on that. So if anybody would be interested in giving a little donation to the museum,
Yeah, absolutely.
because we're trying to expand and make ourselves bigger and give even, make it a much bigger destination place, but that does take money away from being able to fly the airplanes and put gas in the airplanes and stuff. So
Yeah.
if we can get, we'll have links on the page where you found the podcast, and you go ahead and feel free to donate a little bit.
Well, and I think one of the things that helps preserve these airplanes is they're indoors.
Yeah. Well, that's
You
the
know,
only
so
way
many
we
of
can
these
have it here.
things, so many of these things have just wasted away out in the weather.
Yeah, you can't
So-
have these airplanes outside.
No,
Not-
and so
especially in Colorado.
especially today in
They'll
Colorado.
turn into a golf ball in the springtime, and you don't want that.
But having that pavilion completed is a vital step.
Yeah.
So
it's a big step
hope,
in our evolution.
Hope some folks can help us out with that.
Yeah. And also something else about this
Yeah.
museum or our program is that we're brought to you by Blazing Aviation.
Yeah.
They provide almost all the oil that we have, grease, anything that we need to keep these things running, and the museum couldn't do it without Blazing Aviation.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I'm looking at a whole bunch of oil sitting in tanks.
Yeah, a whole bunch of it. So, again, thanks again, Rob, for a fantastic episode. This was actually our 20th episode.
How about that?
Can you believe that? I know. You wouldn't think we'd even get past number 1, but here we are on our 20th.
Well, I thought we'd get past 2.
Well, you had a lot better hope than I did.
Well, that's me, Pollyanna.
Yeah. So for my partner, Rob, our guest, Don Johnson today, William Stephenson behind the cameras, and myself, Scott Clares, stay safe out there.